The lady that did it, she got in there. I mean, she made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Wednesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us as we embark on a Wednesday edition. You know, Denmark, I've been sitting here. I kind of got called into the principal's office at my house, i.e. my wife gave me an evil stare.
You sleeping on the couch?
Not yet. It wasn't my fault entirely. In fact, I may actually blame you for this, and I'll tell you why. So on Monday, we got a letter or an email, I guess, from kindergarten, from Little Hack's teacher. She wasn't exactly upset. She just wanted to point out to us that during story time, the kids in the class had to come up with an ending to a story that they were being told. And the ending of the story was something about a dog and his best friend got something to drink, okay? So the dog and his best friend in Little Hack's story, I would assume they shared milk or water or soda or something. No, apparently he used the term cold beer at kindergarten, and it just crossed my mind that every night he's usually listening to the show open when you have me, his old man, talking about cold beer. So I literally, within the last 90 seconds, just connected two and two together. So maybe that's why we got an email from Little Hack's teacher. But apparently the dog and his best friend at the end of his story had a cold beer together, and she just wanted to let us know that. So I had to give him a stern talking to, but in reality, it probably is our fault here on Hacker After Dark that he did that. But nevertheless, we move on. Glad you're here with us on a Wednesday night that finds the Jacksonville Jaguars back to work at the Miller Electric Center, getting ready for the Detroit Lions. The Jaguars are a 2-touchdown underdog, and now the Jaguars will once again be starting their backup quarterback. As Mac Jones is in, Trevor Lawrence officially ruled out of the ballgame, which is interesting because Trevor was not officially ruled out until late Saturday night last week. This week, he's ruled out on Wednesday. I don't know what to read into that. I just found it odd. The whole press conference today from Doug Peterson was odd. We'll play parts of it here for you in a moment. Guest lineup looks like this. Former Jaguar offensive tackle, my buddy Leon Searcy. He joins me in less than 15 minutes. Also, Chad Forbes. If those of you that know Chad, some of you like him. Quite frankly, some Jaguar fans do not like him. He's a fixture on social media. He's the guy that shoots you straight, man. He's going to tell you what he thinks. He's got a lot of thoughts about this Jaguar 2-8 record. So Chad will also join us here in the 8 o'clock hour tonight on Hacker After Dark. Glad you're with us on a Wednesday every night on HAD. We do give you a big deal of the night. And Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No, because it is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
All right, Trevor Lawrence officially ruled out. It's Mac Jones barbecue for the second straight week on Sunday, this time up in Detroit. Doug Peterson met the media earlier today where he did inform us that Trevor Lawrence will not be playing on Sunday.
Still got a couple of days. I don't have any definite answers right now.
Yeah, doesn't look good for Trevor Lawrence, no question about that. He was officially ruled out at Doug Peterson's press conference earlier today. And when you talk about Mac Jones and what's going to happen with the Jaguars moving forward, again, this is a Jaguar team that only got 143 yards of offense last week in that loss to Minnesota. They scored one offensive touchdown. 143 yards, 70 of those yards were on one drive. So if I do my Wolfson High School math on that, 73 yards the rest of the ball game, which is absolutely wild. Earlier today down at the Miller Electric Center, Doug Peterson also was talking about his confidence level in Mac Jones now that he is the starting quarterback going into Detroit on Sunday.
There's not been a talk on surgery, so I don't know where the surgery talk's coming from, but nothing like that.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But clearly, it's not a good situation with Trevor Lawrence. And we'll talk about Mac Jones as well. Mac's a guy that this is a great opportunity for him. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Mac is a free agent at the end of this year. Mac Jones now has an opportunity to showcase his talent to the rest of the NFL. That fact can't be lost. It is a great opportunity for a hometown kid. I'm not begrudging him for that. But it's just very odd that, you look at it and the Jaguars are 2-touchdown underdogs. The Jaguars go up to Detroit playing maybe the best team in the NFL. It's just a no-win situation. They're just not going to win this game. It's unfortunate all the way around. I think there were 13 guys on the Jaguar injury report earlier today. 13 guys. Absolutely wild, the amount of guys that they have. Denmark, let's call an audible to cut 11. It's tough to manage the emotions of a 2-8 start. Doug Peterson earlier today also talked about that. Look, 2-8's tough, man. 2-8 is what it is. The Jaguars would have the number 1 pick in the draft if it happened today. You literally have a matchup on Sunday between maybe the worst team in football and maybe the best team in football. You could argue, a legit argument, Detroit's the best team going. Clearly the best in the NFC. They're the number 1 seed in the NFC. Whereas Jacksonville, again, would be picking first in the draft. And managing emotions, playing with fire, whatever verbiage you want to use, it's going to be a tough putt. No question about it. Here's Doug Peterson earlier today.
You show them where we are. You show them our division. You show them what's left on the schedule, and you try to stay positive. I still feel like it's a great opportunity for us. As a team, we got to figure out how to win a game. And I'll tell you this: the guys don't quit. You saw it again yesterday. I mean, they battle right to the end. We're trying, even Trayvon's penalty at the end. I mean, he's still trying to punch the ball out and get the ball back for the offense. So, and that's after 80 plus snaps. So, guys are continuing to battle.
Yeah, they're continuing to battle, but the reality is 2-8 is 2-8. And it's kind of hard to overcome that. There is no coming back from 2-8. They're literally playing down the stretch. Only 7 games to go this season. They play Detroit. Then they have a bye week. And did not sound like there was a lot of optimism earlier today about Trevor Lawrence coming back. I mean, Doug Peterson said that he is optimistic, but it just didn't seem like, oh, yeah, after the bye, he'll be good. No question. He'll get some rest, and he'll be good to go for Houston. That's not the message that was being sent out today by the Jaguar head coach. Again, Trevor was ruled out on Saturday last week before Minnesota. Now he's ruled out on Wednesday, 4 days prior to going to Detroit. Just odd, right? So we'll continue the Jaguar conversation. Leon Searcy, former Jaguar offensive tackle, he joins me in less than 10 minutes or so. We'll review Minnesota. We'll preview Detroit. But by and large, just kind of get a lay of the land at where the Jacksonville Jaguars are coming into this game, against Detroit on Sunday. 2-8. Have the players checked out? How will we know if the players have checked out? Have the coaches checked out? Again, I was not all that impressed, I guess. Again, I don't think Doug Peterson needs to be hooping and hollering and having a great time at these press conferences, but just very low energy, I guess, is the best way to describe it today. It was just odd to me. So we'll see what happens in Detroit on Sunday. Again, Leon Searcy joins me in less than 10 minutes. Quickly, we did Florida last night. We'll do the Jaguars tomorrow. But I wanted to spend a quick minute on Florida State tonight and just the idea of how we got to where we are. 7-22 are the Gators, the Seminoles, and the Jaguars this season. It's the worst football season we've had in North Florida maybe ever since the Jaguars' inception in 1995. I can't ever remember Jacksonville, Florida, and Florida State being this bad all in the same calendar season. Absolutely ridiculous. So, how did we get here? We did Florida last night. Again, Florida's kind of what you thought. They are kind of where we thought they would be. Now I want to get to Florida State. What a disaster of a season for the Florida State Seminoles. What an absolute disaster of a season. Worst season they've ever had. Worst season they've ever had in my 41 years on this earth. 1-9. And remember, they're lucky to have the 1, right? You could argue Cal outplayed them that night in Tallahassee, but they just made enough mistakes and Florida State would ultimately win the game. The offense has been awful. The defense has been awful. Both coordinators have been fired. And again, just think about it like this. We were 2.5 months ago on August the 23rd going into the 24th, the first game against Georgia Tech, where this was a preseason top 10 team. Preseason top 10. And now they're 1-9. It's one of the biggest falls from grace the college football team has had in 2.5 months and maybe ever. The list of teams that started preseason top 10 and ended up 1-9 can't be more than a handful of teams in college football history. Florida State has made history. Can they get out of it in one offseason? I'm going to talk to Brent Beard about it later on in the broadcast. I don't think so. Look, I don't expect them to be 1-9 next year, but you cannot go from 1-9 to 8-2 and competing for a playoff spot in one offseason. Their recruiting is awful right now on the high school front. They're going to have to absolutely annihilate the portal in a good way. They annihilated the portal last year, but in a very negative way. It is one of the most amazing falls from grace you'll ever see. Florida State fans, in your worst Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees nightmare, you could not have envisioned 1-9. The only silver lining you have, really, is that Florida's terrible, too. And Florida, I told you this last night, the only silver lining you have is that Florida State's awful. You're suffering through this season together, whether you wear the garnet and gold or whether you wear the orange and blue. But 1-9 for Florida State, 2-8 for the Jaguars, 4-5 for the Gators, combined records of 7-22. It won't get any worse than this. This is rock bottom for those three combined. I'm willing to bet Florida State will never be 1-9 again in my lifetime. I don't think they ever will be. 20, 30, 40 years. I don't think they'll ever go 1-9 again. Jacksonville at 2-8. You hope that doesn't happen very often. Florida's at 4-5. People desperately want the coach fired. The AD's giving a vote of confidence. It's unreal, man. It has been a wild season. Football hell at its finest in North Florida. And it's nowhere near over. Florida's got probably 2 more beatings ahead of them. Jacksonville's got 7 games left. Mercifully for Florida State, you do only have 2 games remaining. One against a 1AA awful Charleston Southern team. But yeah, how did we get here? How did this happen to all 3 of our teams in this area? The Noles, the Gators, and the Jags, all suffering through one of their worst seasons combined, and all of us having to suffer with them, has made for a very interesting, but albeit disappointing 2024 football season. Jaguars are at the top of that list at 2-8. Former Jaguar Leon Searcy. You hear him every day on Primetime. You get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. Let's review Minnesota. Let's preview Detroit. But let's just kind of take an overview, man. Where the Jaguars are with 7 games to go. Where Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke, Trevor Lawrence, just kind of a state of the Jaguars with a former Jaguar great. Leon Searcy joins me next. Wednesday night, Hacker After Dark. Glad you're with us. 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
If you want more action,
Woo! It's Smash Mouth football, baby!
Tom McManus.
Fridays 10 to noon on Jaguars Today.
Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors. A better way to a better window on 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab Crab House.
Get down to the bank Sunday, December 1st, when the Jaguars go head-to-head with division rivals, the Houston Texans. You won't want to miss our My Cause, My Cleats game, when your favorite players get to champion causes close to their heart by wearing custom-designed cleats. Lock in your seats now for a 1 p.m. kickoff by calling 904-633-2000 or visit us online at jaguars.com/tickets. We'll see you there.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
She's very comfortable talking sports and hanging out with the boys.
Mia O'Brien here, still providing the best multimedia sports coverage in Northeast Florida on 1010XL radio, video, and social channels.
All things Mia are driven by Arlington Toyota.
Attention skilled electricians. Are you undervalued at your current company? Time to step up to the bigger projects and better opportunities. Join the team at Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering not just a job, but an experience, top-notch pay, unbeatable benefits, and the best working environments in the business. Please join the team that values your skills and rewards your hard work. Elevate your career to new heights. Apply today at millercareers.com, an equal opportunity employer.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool? Our first contestant, a stay-at-home gymnast from Jacksonville, Florida, it's Gwendolyn Beers.
Thank you, Monty. I don't know who installed my air conditioner, but it hasn't had a tune-up in over 3 years. Am I cool?
Let's ask our expert judging panel. Judges? I'm sorry, Gwendolyn. You're not cool. Johnny, tell her why. That's right. To keep your air conditioner performing at its best, you need a skilled technician to check your pressures, voltages, and air filters in the fall and the spring. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, our club members get 2 free visits a year to make sure that you are cool.
Can you tell me if my haircut is sexy?
You're better off not asking.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
I'm Jeff Middlecoff with Trustline Mortgage. My business partners, Alan Tyre, Bill Pappas, and Ken Rimley, have been helping first-time home buyers with their mortgage financing all over Florida for 34 years. First-time home buyers can get no or low down payments, anywhere from 0 to 3.5% down. As a first-time home buyer with Trustline Mortgage, you get added benefits for doing your loan with us, like lower rates on your mortgage insurance and lower closing costs. Oh, and did I forget to mention that Trustline gives first-time home buyers better mortgage interest rates? Here's the bottom line. Trustline Mortgage wants to help first-time home buyers accomplish your goal of home ownership. That's why Trustline Mortgage is offering the best first-time home buyer benefits around, period. Trustline Mortgage delivers with no and low down payments, lower closing costs, and better interest rates. Call Trustline Mortgage today at 381-LOAN. Yes, 381-LOAN to find out how we can help you buy your dream home. Or visit our website at trustlinemortgage.com. Trust your instincts and follow the line to Trustline Mortgage.
Certain restrictions apply. See office for details. Trustline is an equal housing opportunity. MLS number 331480.
So, Ammon, when was the last time that you cleaned your air ducts?
Dad, I manage the air duct cleaning at Zero Res. Trust me, my ducts are cleaner than the plates after Thanksgiving dinner.
Well, I hope so, but it's not just you I'm thinking of. Everyone in Jacksonville should get their air ducts cleaned before the holidays.
You're right. Even though we don't blast the heat like up north, we still trap dust and allergens when the windows stay shut. All that gunk just recirculates through your home and makes your air quality worse.
So you're saying Zero Res air duct cleaning keeps my air fresh and ready for my holiday guests?
Exactly. Clean ducts means cleaner air, just in time for Thanksgiving. Plus, we've got a November special running right now. Call Zero Res today and we'll give you $50 off. No more dust, just fresh, clean air for you and your family this holiday season.
Sounds good, son. Now, how about that family discount?
We'll see, Dad.
Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com or call now. Zero Res,
spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Hello, I'm Malcolm Anthony. I've been practicing criminal defense law for over 40 years. It's what I love to do. It's what I do well. Stay out of trouble, but if you don't, call me, Malcolm Anthony, at 285-4LAW. 285-4LAW for Malcolm Anthony.
This is David with Royal Pest Services. Join us Friday, November.
And there'll be free slices for you guys.
Tony, you've been down here long enough. It's y'all.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Work it, make it, do it. Makes us all better, faster, stronger.
Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Trevor will be out. We just decided this week he's getting close, but to make sure that, again, you guys know how I am with injuries. We don't want to put a player out there that's not 100%. So we're gonna rest him 1 more week.
You think he'll be ready to go after the bye week, or is that still a question?
Still a question mark, but I'm optimistic. Yeah.
The thoughts of Jaguar head coach Doug Peterson earlier, Miller Electric Center. Thank you to Jaguars.com. Trevor Lawrence officially out against the Detroit Lions. Mac Jones will get his second start. Again, last week, 143 yards of total offense. Was all of that Mac's fault? No, it wasn't all Mac's fault. But the offense was awful last week. And certainly with him being the quarterback, he's going to receive a fair share of the criticism. Everybody's going to need to step their game up against a Detroit team that might be the best team in football. So you talk about optimistic or optimism. Put me down as a guy that doesn't have a lot of optimism for the Sunday chances of the Jaguars going to Detroit this weekend. Leon Searcy is one of the most optimistic guys I know, one of the most positive guys I know when it comes to his former team, the former Pro Bowl offensive tackle. You hear him every day on primetime. You get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. I had the chance to catch up with Leon earlier today. Here's that conversation on 1010XL.
Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Lions, Sunday, 1 o'clock. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL radio. And the reality is simply this. Detroit, arguably the best team in the NFL. They are a 2-touchdown point favorite against the Jacksonville team that arguably is one of the worst in the NFL. And in fact, if the NFL draft were held today, the Jacksonville Jaguars would own the number 1 pick. Let's talk about it with a former Jaguar Pro Bowl offensive tackle. You hear him every day on prime time. You get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. That's, of course, my buddy, Leon Searcy. Leon, how are you, man?
I'm good, bro.
Leon, I'm as good as I can be at 2-8. 2-8. You know, we sit here every week and we just talk about how disappointing this team is. I mean, this is an all-timer, right? I mean, maybe the 2000 team, the one that you got hurt in training camp, so I'm not going to blame you for that one. 2018, maybe after the 17 AFC Championship game. And this one are arguably the 3 most disappointing seasons in Jaguar history. And, Leon, I got to tell you, this one to me is very close to the top.
Yeah, this one ranks number 1 in my opinion, because of the expectations, because of the fact that they went back-to-back seasons with a winning record. You kind of felt like they imploded last year, down the stretch, had the number 1 seed, 8-3, then imploded down the end. You had injuries and stuff like that. So the expectations were, okay, we're going to get healthy. We're going to get free agents. We're going to run it back. And we're going to run it back and try to position ourselves where we could be the number 1 seed again and all that kind of stuff. And quite frankly, this time last year, we were sitting at about 8-3. We were sitting at 8-3 and with the number 1 seed. So this is like this is like a whirlwind of what this team was this time compared to what this team is right now. And it's pretty pathetic.
They've lost 13 of their last 16. Leon, they can say all the right things publicly, and they can put a happy face on in front of microphones and cameras, but they know, right? At 2-8, I mean, the season's over, correct?
Yeah, it is over, and Coach Campbell and I talked about this on XL Primetime yesterday. You can't, as a player and as a coach, you can't assume it's over. I mean, because you still have 7 games to play. So somehow you got to go to work every day with the anticipation that you're going to win the game, or else you might as well pack it in. Now, as far as the fan base goes, I think we pretty much packed it in. We kind of realized this team is off the grid and probably has no hope of making the playoffs. But as a player and a coach, to keep you motivated to go to work every day and practice and lift weights and watch film, you got to say the NFL gives me another opportunity to redeem myself by playing another game, and that's all you can factor in.
Former Jaguar Pro Bowl offensive tackle Leon Searcy. Leon, one of the questions is about the future of Trevor Lawrence this season. Did not play last week. And, yeah, I mean, he could play, right? He's obviously not 100%, but he could play.
Yeah.
Or he could have season-ending surgery to get 100% heading into the offseason. They are 2-8. They're about to be 2-9 when they lose to Detroit. I mean, I would get the sense that the way the fan base and maybe the media feel about it is drastically different than what's going to be thought about it in that locker room, correct?
Well, I mean, listen, it's the tale of 2 seasons, okay? Now, when you're on a winning team and you feel like you playing is going to give your team an opportunity to play, then you try to make that you make that sacrifice. That's what Trevor did last year. A lot of people said because down the stretch, Trevor wasn't completely 100%, but he wanted to play because he wanted an opportunity to make sure his team could get into the playoffs. Now you look at Trevor now, and they're 2-8, and they're absolutely pretty much out of the playoff hunt. And there seems to be no real need to rush him back. Won't play against the Lions, and then he's going to take that bye, and then he's going to presume to be healthy there. But I'm just saying, players have a tendency that when you're winning, you want to get back on the field. You feel that you're laying your team down. You feel like that if you play, you give them opportunity to win the game. But when you're losing, there doesn't seem to be any real rush to get back, So just you could just look at the 2 seasons from and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, in your psyche, and your psyche tells you that when you got an opportunity, you want to play, you want to get on that field. And a lot of people say Trevor last year shouldn't have got back on the field because he wasn't completely 100%, but he played anyway, to where he is now, to where he may be 75%, but the team doesn't want to rush him out because they feel like the season's lost.
I don't believe you were ever in this situation because you played on every team you played on was above 500. So I can't imagine you were in this, but obviously you being in the league for over a decade, you have a great perspective. I mean, players know the hot seat talk surrounding Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson, right? They have to. They're getting asked about it, I would think, constantly by family, friends, acquaintances, etc. I mean, what's the vibe as a player knowing that your coach and your general manager are very much in question as to whether they're going to be back next year?
Well, you've got to presume that you're on the hot seat as well. Of course, if you're one of the elite players like a Trevor, Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker, you don't have any worries. But if you're in the middle of the pack, as far as a player goes, you're auditioning. You're absolutely auditioning. You're 1099 right now. You're trying to either impress the next coaching staff, because the next coaching staff that comes in is going to literally watch all the tape of all the games and make an evaluation on the guys they want to keep. And you want to audition for other teams because other teams you want to. So there's got to be some effort on your part to understand that you're literally on the hot seat as well. So you've got to go out there and perform well for not only this coaching staff that may be coming in, but for the other 31 teams in the NFL.
Couple of more for Leon Searcy. Leon, it's interesting they're playing Detroit. We'll get to the assistant coaches in a moment, but just the overall idea that Detroit 3 years ago took Aiden Hutchinson number 2 after Trayvon Walker went number 1. Translation, the Lions and the Jaguars were the 2 worst teams in football following the 21 season. And now here we are, less than 2.5 years later. Detroit might be the best team in football, and Jacksonville still may be the worst team in football. The absolute 180 degrees that the Detroit Lions went in the last 2.5 years compared to where the Jaguars went, Leon, it's absolutely shocking.
Well, I mean, I said this yesterday on XL Primetime. I think the Jaguars, when they go up to Detroit to play them, don't just play them. You may want to take a pen and paper and sit down in class and take notes, because that's how you build a franchise from abyss to being one of the best teams in the NFL. You start with the GM. You start with getting the right coach. You draft well. Your draft picks hit. The perennial starters. Some are all pros. You develop well, you execute at a high level, and you kick tail week in and week out. That's what the Detroit Lions do. So the Jaguars, what they need to do is do themselves a favor. Don't only just play the game on Sunday. You may want to take a class on how to build a franchise, because they know the right way. You're absolutely right. Just 3 years ago, both teams were horrible. And now we look at the Detroit Lions. They are the elite team in the NFL. And it's not by any mistake. They build from the front office down to the players. And that's the reason why they're in the position that they're in and we're not.
You know, another interesting subplot for this game on Sunday are both coordinators in Detroit. We've all talked about Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator, and certainly he's at the top of a lot of lists. I think Aaron Glenn and the job he's done on the defensive side of the ball. Now, I don't expect Jacksonville to go that route. I would love an offensive guy to work with Trevor, but there's no doubt Aaron Glenn is going to be on a short list for an NFL head coaching openings coming up this offseason. So the Jaguar fan base, you'll probably get to see two guys that you're going to see their names linked to Jacksonville if Doug Peterson loses his job, with both Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with either one. I mean, listen, you can still go get you a defensive guy and bring in an offensive guy from Detroit to kind of work with Trevor, Mark Brunell. But listen, you can't go wrong with either one. But I think the Jaguars, if they do go that route as far as Ben Johnson, I think they're gonna get somebody that can be hands on with Trevor. But listen, either one, as far as right where we are right now, either one would be a viable asset to this organization, because the first thing I know is that when you watch that the Detroit Lions team, they execute at a high level. They don't make a lot of penalties, and they've got variety when it comes to schematically running offensive plays and schematically when they run defensive plays. So that's what this team needs right now.
Final moments with Leon Searcy. You piqued my interest there, because I was talking about this last week on the fifth quarter with a couple people as well. The Brunell idea, right? If Doug Peterson loses his job, they blow the staff out of here. If you were to go get a Ben Johnson, would Brunell come with him? Because Brunell is the quarterback coach in Detroit. Aaron Glenn is interesting, too. Maybe Ben Johnson goes somewhere else or says thanks but no thanks, but maybe you go get Aaron Glenn, the defensive guy in Detroit, and maybe he asks Mark Brunell if he wants to come with him to be the OC here. I mean, that's an intriguing possibility to bring Brunell here as an offensive coordinator, is it not?
Heck, I've been saying this all week, bro, that organizationally, you need to bring somebody. That's why I talked about Tony Baselli. And maybe not as a GM, but something relative to the Jaguars, a liaison kind of guy, operations kind of. You got to bring somebody who cares about this organization. And I can't think of two guys who love this Jaguar franchise more than maybe Tony Baselli and Mark Brunell. You can throw me in there too as well. But I'm just saying, those two guys, you bring them and you let those two guys infiltrate this organization, who have a dear heart, endearment for this franchise, and want to see it get back on its feet. You can't go wrong with either one of them. You can't go wrong with both of them. So yeah, I had mentioned that last week. Putting Baselli in some kind of managerial position to where he can have some hands-on effect on the decision-making that's made with the Jaguars. And then you go and bring a Mark Brunell here that could be hands-on with a Trevor Lawrence and, steering him through the NFL. I mean, he's done a wonderful job with, Jared Goff over the last couple of years. So I can only imagine what he could do with Trevor Lawrence.
Leon, what happens on Sunday up in Detroit?
We get healed and mud stomped. That's what happens.
And you're as positive a guy as I'm going to find about the Jaguars, but you don't think they have a chance, huh?
Have you seen that Detroit Lions team? They are menace. They're a menace, bro. They're merciless, bro. When it comes to they beat you up. Listen, if the Jaguars this is Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. All right. This Detroit Lions team don't play, bro. And I'm gonna tell you another thing they do that we don't do. And this is another factor in when I say the Jaguars need to sit down, bring a pen and paper, and take notes. Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions against the Houston Texans. 5. But that defense found a way to keep the game close. They still believed in him. Jared Goff got over the hump, and they figured out a way to win that football game. There's no way when you throw 5 interceptions in the game that you're supposed to win. But somehow that team found a way. They believed in their quarterback, and they trusted him to right the ship, and they put themselves in a position where not only did they kick a game-time field goal, but then they put themselves in a position where they kicked a game-winning field goal. See, that was a complete team effort. That's what I mean by the Detroit Lions. They are a complete team from offense, defense, and special teams.
Leon, final question. If it's bad on Sunday, as you think it'll be, and by the way, I don't disagree with you, does something happen here on Monday going into the bye week with a change in personnel?
This would be listen, if they go up there and they get beat 35-3, which could happen, I think Doug is gone. Mm-hmm. Because you fire him going into the off week. And then you give the intern coach an opportunity to kind of, get his feet wet during the bye, and then you move forward on the rest of the season. Because, listen, this last week's game, I mean, the defense fought as hard as they could fight to keep this. And Sam Darnold tried to throw the game away to us, and we still couldn't figure out a way on offense to score any points. And that defense has got to be frustrated if they kept them to 4 field goals and still couldn't find a way to win. So this offense with Mac Jones, unfortunately, and you guys, you got a makeshift offensive line. I don't see them being productive at all at the offensive position. I think Detroit's is going to how you say it, boat race them.
Boat race them. Yeah. I tend to agree with you. No question about it. Regardless of what happens on Sunday at 1 o'clock, Leon, Dave Campo, and myself will have the 5th quarter for you 2 hours after the Jaguars and the Lions go final right here on 1010XL. Leon, have a great rest of your week. I'll see you Sunday.
You got it, bro.
There you go, Leon Searcy with me every week here on Hacker After Dark. Speaking of former NFL offensive tackles, we got a treat for you tomorrow night. Lomas Brown, former Detroit Lion, spent, over 15 years in the National Football League, and obviously a former Florida Gator. Great as well. Lomas has done radio for the Detroit Lions for many, many years. He will join me on this show tomorrow night, not only to preview the Lions and the Jaguars. I'm going to get his thoughts on Billy Napier and his alma mater at the University of Florida. As a former Gator and former NFL offensive tackle, Lomas Brown joins us tomorrow night on Hacker After Dark. By the way, in for Baloo tomorrow will be 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock on a Thursday here on 1010XL. Coming up next, Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites on social media. Chad doesn't sugarcoat a whole lot. Jaguar fans, if you know who he is, some of you like him, some of you don't. Trust me, Chad doesn't really care. Chad will just give you his opinion one way or the other. Take it for what you want it to take it. But I like his opinion. I think that he shoots off the cuff sometimes, but he's been right. In fact, Chad, when I had him on after the Jaguars drafted Brian Thomas, he had Brian Thomas as the second best receiver in the draft behind Malik Neighbors. He had him above Rome Odunze. He had him above Marvin Harrison. And Brian Thomas has not disappointed in that regard. So Chad's one of my favorites to talk with, and we'll talk to him about the 2-8 start. I want to talk about the AFC South, too. The Titans are awful. The Colts don't know what they're doing at quarterback. It's a seesaw there. Houston's going to win the division by default, but they're not very good either. And, yeah, mark the time. Mark the time officially. Here we are on the 13th day of November. And I'm going to ask Chad Forbes, if the Jaguars do hold on to the number 1 pick, who they're going to take. It's draft talk time. Just a little bit. Just an appetizer, if you will. But we'll talk about it next. Hacker After Dark on a Wednesday evening here in the city of Jacksonville. Glad you're with us. 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
It's not reinventing the wheel, it's making it roll down the field.
Let's keep it rolling.
Listen for the Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville drive of the game.
That's a great drive right there.
On 1010XL.
Keep going. We got to keep going, keep going, keep going.
Awaken 180 weight loss. Awaken 180 weight loss. I'm getting ready for my weigh-in tomorrow with my coach, Kate. She's been with me every week for the last 9 months. We make a game plan. I tell her about my week coming up. She gets me a plan on what to do, what not to do, and it has worked like a charm. 110 pounds down. My end goal is very close, where I'm actually going to begin the maintenance portion of Awaken 180. Mike and Matt have been on the maintenance portion now for a while. The maintenance portion's great because you lose all that weight, but you maintain so you don't gain it back. And I'll begin telling you more about that in the coming weeks and months. Go to awaken180weightloss.com, awaken180weightloss.com. If you're listening to this and you say, man, I need to lose some weight too. Hacker did it. I can do it. You're exactly right. Trust me. Awaken 180 weight loss.
Greetings from Daytona, where a band of dreamers took a strip of beach and turned it into a proving ground. The great American race, where year after year, greatness is the destination.
Drivers, start your engines, let's go!
So book your experience and soak in 500 miles of history and tradition. The Daytona 500, February 16th, 2025. Secure your seats now at Daytona500.com.
When it comes to selling your home, it can be stressful. Take the stress out with my friends, Chad and Sandy Newman. Maybe you're worried you won't sell your home for the price you need. How's this for a guarantee? Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they'll buy it. No required costly repairs. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. Mortgage rates are down, creating more active buyers and sellers. And if you've been waiting, now is a great time to sell your home. Take Kim in Palm Coast. I needed to move closer to family ASAP, but I had to sell my Palm Coast home first. I tried and failed with another agent. So my family said, you got to call Chad and Sandy. Well, sure enough, as promised, Chad and Sandy did it. They sold my home in 3 days, above asking price. Call the local Jacksonville experts I trust and recommend. Call Chad and Sandy today at 904-414-6200 or go to chadandsandy.com. That's Chad, ANDSANDY.com.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 5-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now graduate making over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or no student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost are the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org, and you can apply there.
Apply by May 23rd.
Every Monday,
David Garrard
calls the signals and looks for you on Jaguars Today from 10 to noon.
One pass left, wrong. Oh, ready.
Brought to you by WaterboyJax.com.
Duval.
On 1010XL.
What if you could be debt-free by this January? Get rid of all that high-interest debt, pay off all your credit cards, consolidate everything into one lower payment. Hey, it's Prosper here, and if you're ready to stop stressing over bills, you need to call Loan Pronto right now. With rates at their lowest in 2 years, this is the perfect chance to use your home's equity and save big going into the new year. Loan Pronto's got rates with APRs in the low 5s, and they're getting homeowners hundreds of thousands out of their home's equity. Homeowners who do this save on average $850 a month. Loan Pronto offers a ton of options, including total refis, express equity lines of credit. So call now, Get a rate quote in just minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call today. You won't make a house payment till 2025. 904-999-1508. That's loanpronto.com or 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781 on approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
If fashion is your thing, eBay is it. eBay's where I find all my favorites, from handbags to iconic streetwear, all authenticated. For real. This time, a little Supreme, some Gucci. I even have that vintage Prada on my watch list. That's why eBay's my go-to for all my go-tos. Yeah, eBay, the place for new, pre-loved, vintage, and rare fashion. eBay, things people love.
It's a game 80 years in the making. Join us for Thursday Night Football as we celebrate the 80th birthday of the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl game. The SEC and ACC face off January 2nd at 7:30 on Bill Gay grounds at Everbank Stadium. Don't miss college football pageantry on display as we celebrate our 80th anniversary. Tickets and hospitality packages are on sale now at TaxSlayerGatorBowl.com. Get yours today.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Lions, Sunday, 1 o'clock. You'll hear the game right here on 1010XL radio. The Lions, arguably the best team in the NFL right now. The Jaguars would be picking number 1 in the NFL draft if it were held right now. So two opposite ends of the spectrum. How did we get here? And more importantly, how do we get out of the football abyss that we're in here in Duval County? Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites on social media is where you find him. And Chad is always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Chad, how we doing, man?
A very tough watch this past weekend for Jaguars fans.
Chad, last time you and I spoke on air, the Jaguars still had some hope, right? There was still some optimism. Maybe they could turn the corner. And that hope and that optimism has been crushed and absolutely squashed in front of our very eyes over the last month and a half. It's a disaster here, man. This side of the Dallas Cowboys, the Jaguars are probably the most disappointing team in the NFL, and you don't sugarcoat a whole lot. So let me ask you, in your opinion, Chad, how did this happen?
You went through the 10 or 12 metrics that determine whether a team's good or not, away from, points against and points scored, and couldn't find one where they were top 20. And the only positive I can give you is Logan Cook and that Jaguars punt team is leading the league in net punting average. That's it.
They got a good special teams. I'll give a little love to the rookie kicker, Cam Little, as well. It's funny you bring that up. I actually mentioned that earlier this week. All right, let's begin at the very top and work our way down. General Manager Trent Baalke, how much of this is his fault?
Oh, general manager is going to take a lot of the blame when the team is this dismal, and the whole organization is going to get a look top to bottom. It sounds like ownership doesn't want to make a in-season change, which at this point doesn't really make any sense. You're not going to necessarily get enough of a jolt to get back in the hunt here. So, it looks like Trevor Lawrence is going to be down for a while. You got to see if this offense can at least get back to being more competitive. But, yeah, at the end of the season, they're probably going to be cleaning the house in Duval, and it'll be interesting how people look at that job compared to the other 4 or 5 that could be opened.
And look, I'm always going to admit when I'm wrong, and I was wrong about this free agent class. Ronald Darby, Gabe Davis, my gosh, I was dead wrong about Gabe Davis. Mitch Morse has been okay. Darnell Savage has been okay. But by and large, they spent a lot of money on free agents. Eric Armstead has not been good for the price tag he was given. I mean, is that the players' fault? Is that Baalke's fault, Chad, the coaching? What do you assess that with?
A really smart organization in the 49ers, gave up on Eric Armstead and released him. And then Trent Baalke wanted to reunite in Jacksonville, and that really just hasn't worked out. They haven't been able to find a fit for him, and it was kind of redundant having him and Roy Robertson Harris. So you're making that trade you thought would open up some room for Eric Armstead, but he just doesn't fit there. And Morris has been okay at center. They went cheap there, which we discussed. I think Ezra Cleveland's actually been okay. And then the wide receiver position, whether it's Duvernay or, Gabe Davis, at the time, it gave him a little bit of benefit of the doubt after the success they have with, Christian Kirk. But, you got to say Gabe Davis has really been a disaster of a signing. And it's, tough haul there in free agency. And I guess, the draft, we're still waiting to see what they got in Mason Smith. At least they nailed the Brian Thomas pick. But, it was just an offseason that didn't really work out.
And you were very high on Brian Thomas. You were one of the higher guys on Brian Thomas. I think you had him like number 2 as at the overall wide receiver spot when I talked to you about him. So you hit that one pretty good. Again, Chad Forbes, at NFL Draft Bites on social media is where you find Chad. Let's go to Doug Peterson. Obviously, a lot of questions about the future of Doug Peterson here in Jacksonville. Chad, what's your thought on A, his job security, and B, do you believe he should be on the hot seat?
Owners can get impatient, and Woody Johnson did that with Robert Saleh. The fans wanted it to happen, and he made the move. And look what's happened. That team has just gone into a complete tailspin and become dysfunctional. So you might think you're at the bottom, but I think if you get rid of Doug Peterson, really, who's replacing him to run out the stretch here? The writing's on the wall, though. At the end of the season, they're going to be looking for a new head coach. And when you go into that process of trying to, hire a new head coach, I think these guys, whether it's like a Ben Johnson up in Detroit, or these guys that are more coveted, we'll look at how you handle Doug Peterson's tenure, and if you just let him finish it out, that's a better way to go out and try to recruit your next coach. So I wouldn't make a change yet, but at the end of the season, it's got to be done.
Do you believe Peterson and Baalke are both going to go at the end of the year?
That's the best way to do it. You got to clean house, right? Bring in a coach and a general manager, align them on kind of the same timeline where at the it doesn't go right again, God forbid, that there's no finger pointing about who came in first, who had overseeing of the roster. So you need to find 2 guys that are kind of joined at the hip philosophically, and that's really what you see about the Jaguars right now. This offseason, they kind of rebuilt that wide receiving core, and it looked like they wanted to become more of a vertical based offense. I'm not sure they've got an identity on offense. Defensively, it's clearly those 2 edge rushers, but they've just been so terrible on the back end of that secondary. So they've got to find an identity, and that's just not scheme. That's all about being a more tough football team and being more disciplined.
I want to get more into the Ben Johnson aspect of this in a moment, but sometimes I think I'm almost too close to it because I'm here in Jacksonville, do this show every night. You look at every team from an objective point of view. You mentioned the job openings. We know the Jets are already open. The Saints are already open. Obviously, there's talk about Dallas could come open. Maybe Pierce is one and done in Vegas. And it certainly looks like it's trending to Jacksonville being open. How appealing is this job, Chad?
Well, coaches have fixed worse quarterbacks than Trevor Lawrence. You look what Ben Johnson did with Jared Goff after he was a cast-off with the Rams. Or, what the guys down in Tampa Bay have done with Baker Mayfield. Trevor Lawrence has all the talent in the world, and he hasn't gotten it done in the NFL, but someone's going to look at him and say, I think I could fix that guy. And also, ownership in the last 4 or 5 years has been more hands-off. They certainly are willing to pay assistant coaches. There's no state taxes. It should be easier to recruit free agents down there. It's a generally weak division. So there's a lot of appealing parts of the Jaguars' position, and I think you could end up seeing them, if he's willing to be pony up the cash, go after a guy like a Ben Johnson. One that kind of jumps out to me. If I could get Lane Kiffin away from Ole Miss, and that would be fun. But they've got to get an offensive coach who comes in and says, I've got a plan to fix Trevor Lawrence and make him the player he's capable of.
Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites on social media. Is Ben Johnson the first call you're making, and why? What is it about him that people like so much?
He's a great play caller. He's a great schematic guy. He brings a level of toughness. He's not just one of these guys that draws up plays and tries to be a finesse football team. You see with that Detroit Lions offensive line, the way they built it out. That's going to need to be a huge focus next offseason for the Jaguars, getting more physical up front. He's a guy you want to bring in and talk to, but there's going to be a lot of other coaches out there. And I think if you look at the Jaguars compared to, the Cowboys are a different kind of animal. Some guys just have the ego of wanting that job. The Bears are obviously one of the, old school franchises. But if you look at the Saints, Jets, and Jaguars, I think if you're smart, you say, I can make the Jaguars win quick.
Ben Johnson, we're going to get up close and personal with him on Sunday. Of course, the Jaguars will see Detroit and that Ben Johnson offense. Aaron Glenn is another name. Now, the Jaguars are going to see him, too, on the defensive side of the ball. And I know the trendy thing is to go with the hot up-and-coming coordinator, but Aaron Glenn getting a lot of love for a potential head coaching opening. What's your thought there?
Yeah, he's done a great job remaking that Detroit Lions defense, especially on the back end. They keep getting better. the safety play there has been unbelievable, and he's really had his hands in that. Again, defensive coaches, it's great, but when you've got a quarterback you just gave $50+ million to, the question can't be, well, who are you going to bring on as an offensive coordinator? Because if this organization doesn't get Trevor Lawrence, fixed and playing to the level that he's capable of, then where are we going?
Final question on the Jaguars. I want to branch out to the rest of the division here in a moment. Ben Johnson, as you said, is going to be in high demand. Assuming Jacksonville, A, fires Peterson, which they still need to do, we're assuming that, and B, Johnson chooses not to come here. Why am I drinking the Kool-Aid on Cliff Kingsbury? I know it didn't work out for him in Arizona, but I love what he's done with Jaden Daniels in Washington. We know about Bobby Slowick in Houston. Liam Cohen in Tampa is another name. If not Ben Johnson, Chad, who are some of the other guys you would look at?
In that year, Kingsbury's an interesting one because in that year or two that he was away from the Cardinals, somehow he came to this realization that you need to be a physical football team, have some balance, run the ball. And what he's doing, I know it's a big Jaden Daniels show up there, but what he's doing offensively, schematically, is really impressive. And, maybe he didn't get a fair shake in Arizona. He had some issues on that roster for sure. Another guy that kind of jumps out, Bobby Slowick, you mentioned. Jesse, I know he's a defensive coordinator, but Jesse Minter, the Chargers defensive coordinator, I love guys from that Harbaugh tree, and what he's doing out there, number one defense in the NFL, and that's a unit they couldn't get fixed in L.A. for a while. And where else do you look? It's like, there's really not any name that jumps out right now. I mean, I might make a call to Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, but that's just me pontificating there.
That'd be interesting. There are a lot of Gator fans here in Northeast Florida that hope Lane Kiffin comes to the University of Florida if they cut ties with Billy Napier. Chad, you and I talked this offseason about the division, and going into 2023, it was thought to be the worst division in football. And then all of a sudden, the Colts, the Titans, and the Jaguars all won 9 games. And you're thinking, wow, South is pretty good. And this entire offseason, you think about all the free agent money spent in every city and the excitement about the young quarterbacks. And my gracious, man, the division has just been awful. I mean, if there's a silver lining for the Jaguars, it's that the Titans are terrible. The Colts have benched Anthony Richardson, and the Texans are going to win the division by default, but they're 6-4 and probably disappointing by what they thought coming into the year. I mean, why has the South regressed so bad?
Yeah, the Texans are a bit of a paper tiger. They're a couple kicks away from being a 500 team. The kickers nailed some from 50+ yards. They've lost some, people in the receiving core. They've had troubles up front. I'm calling the Texans a paper tiger. I don't even think they're a contender in the AFC. And coming into the year, I said maybe they could go into Kansas City or Buffalo and win a playoff game. And the Titans just have a huge quarterback problem. And it's not just that; it's the entire roster. They haven't nailed their draft picks. And then the Colts, the Colts are soft. Defensively, you can run the ball on them, you can throw it all over the yard. And offensively, I mean, unless it's the Joe Flacco resurgence week, they just look to have no identity, and they can't even really run the ball like they used to.
Indianapolis is going to give Anthony Richardson another shot. I don't think there's any doubt there. Is Tennessee looking for a quarterback this offseason? Are they going to be done with Will Levis after 2024?
100%. I think they're done with Will Levis. I would look they try to acquire Browning, who's the backer from the Bengals, or take a quarterback early in the draft.
Final moments, Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites. All right, Chad, as we wrap up, everybody this offseason, or at least a lot of people, had Kansas City and Detroit in the Super Bowl. And here we are in early to mid-November, and that appears to be spot on, right? I mean, do you believe that Kansas City and Detroit right now are the two best teams in the NFL?
Kansas City's frightening because they're not even playing good football offensively, and they're just finding a way to win games. And at the pivotal moment of games, when teams kind of panic, make mistakes, that's when Kansas City's at their best. It's going to be tough, but I could see a team like Buffalo or Baltimore potentially knocking them off. I think the sleeper in the NFC is obviously the Green Bay Packers, a really talented young team that's going to keep getting better as we go along here. And the Eagles are, they're feisty, but I don't know if I trust that coach. And the 49ers, just when people want to say they're out, they seem like they might have a little bit left in the tank. But yeah, Detroit looks like the best team in the NFC, and I don't know. I'm riding on Buffalo goes to the Super Bowl.
Wow. All right. That's interesting with Kansas City with their 9-0 start. All right. Final question. At NFL Draft Bites is your social media handle. You are an NFL draft guy. As I talked about, you kind of nailed Brian Thomas last year. You were very high on that pick. If the draft were today, Chad, the Jaguars would have the number 1 pick in the draft, man. I mean, Travis Hunter, is that what you're thinking at the top of the draft in 2025?
So you're saying I can't trade down, correct?
You can't trade down. You got to make the pick.
I would take Mason Grant, a defensive tackle from Michigan.
You think he's the best player?
I do, and add some toughness on the interior defensive line, starts to kind of form that identity with Trayvon and Josh Allen. I'm not sure that a wide receiver cornerback is going to really, change the dynamic of the Jaguars. Obviously, you'd want to trade down. I still think they're getting to 4 or 5 wins and picking 5 or 6. And I see a Mason Graham or maybe a left tackle like Kelvin Banks being in play.
I mean, the perfect scenario, right, is that they do get the number 1 pick. I agree with you. I think they're going to win some games towards the end. The schedule at the end of the year is terrible, and they're going to win some of those. But in a hypothetical world, if they're picking number 1, they're not taking a quarterback because obviously they have Trevor. They could hold that pick for ransom, right? I mean, they could get a ton for that, could they not?
Right, and in my view, Jalen Milroe and Shadur are kind of jockeying for that number 2 position. A lot of it's stylistic, but those guys could be, 5 or 6. I don't, maybe the Raiders go crazy and want Shadur because he brings that whole marketing appeal. But Cam Ward, the Miami quarterback, in my view, has really separated himself from the quarterback class. So if you were to get that first pick, and I see a huge gap between him and Milroe and Shadur, you could really hold a ransom.
And you've intrigued me as we say goodbye. What do you think of Travis Hunter? He's going to get all the hype. Do you believe he's going to be worth it in the end?
A little overrated.
Wow. All right. But he's a DB in the NFL, correct?
Perhaps, maybe. I think that he's regressed. He's not the wide receiver that everyone's making him out to be, okay? This isn't like A.J. Green and Julio Jones coming into the NFL, where it was like you look at him and say, okay, I can see that guy being a bona fide number 1 wide receiver. I look at Travis Hunter and say, you might have to play him a lot in the slot, right? And I don't love slot-only wide receivers. That's why I was a big believer in Brian Thomas Jr. The wide receiver from Arizona, I think it's a really close between him and Travis Hunter at this point. And I think some of these defensive linemen, and you watch them play, it's not just Mason Graham. It's also the 4 or 5 edges in this class. If people have them going 10 to 20, I think those guys could really move their way up, whether it's a Scorton or Pierce. But I'm not as high on Travis Hunter. I think that it's a new thing, so we're really excited about it. And I kind of compare it to like what we've seen with Shohei Ohtani in baseball, where everybody's just so excited about this like new concept. But really, if he's just your nickel corner and your slot receiver, what's the value?
Mark the time. We're just past Veterans Day, and Chad Forbes and I are talking NFL draft. That's what happens when the Jaguars begin the year at 2-8. Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites. Chad, always enjoy the conversation. I know you're busy. Thank you for taking time out, and we'll talk again soon, pal.
Oh, always fun. I'll be releasing my first mock draft coming soon, so stay posted.
Get entertaining insight on Sunday's games all day Monday.
They came together as a team.
Sink your teeth into Dandy Foods Postgame Monday.
It is a game.
Makers of quality fresh sandwiches and home of the good stuff on 1010XL. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Yo, it's your boy E to the T here. And fellas, we all know that athletes train every day to perform better on the field, right? But what if you could enhance your performance in the bedroom? No training required. That's right. I'm talking about that secret weapon, Blue Chew. A chewable tablet with the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, and Staxin that ships right to your door in a discreet package. No doctor visits, no trips to the pharmacy. It's all online. Their licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredients and strength for your prescription. They also have Daily Tag that contains 7 essential vitamins. And it's chewable too. And now you can try Blue Chew for the free ski. That's right, for free on me. Visit BlueChew.com and enter my promo code 1010XL. You only have to pay $5 for shipping. Turn that oh no into a oh yeah. That's promo code 1010XL. Let your boy hook you up with some Blue Chew. Get your confidence back. Visit BlueChew.com.
Visionaries, builders, and doers. Are you ready to change the world? Miller Electric is your opportunity to shape the future. Miller Electric is leading the charge in electric vehicle technology with our state-of-the-art EV Innovation Design Center. We're working to create a sustainable future. We're also the proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, powering their performance at the brand new Miller Electric Center. Miller Electric, we provide competitive pay, unbeatable benefits. Apply today. MillerCareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Get off the ladder and put on the helmet with Gutter Helmet of North Florida. We are family owned and manufactured locally. Cleaning your gutters is a dangerous and dirty job. That's why with Gutter Helmet, you'll never clean your gutters again. Water goes in your gutters while trash and debris go on the ground. It won't collect like filters do. Gutter Helmet protects. Call now for 10% off and a free gutter cleaning and tune-up with your purchase of Gutter Helmet. Call 904-762-7779.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
If you have a slow-draining sink or toilet that sounds like it's about to back up, imagine the potential plumbing emergency when you have family over for the holidays. Flush after flush after flush. Avoid holiday clogs with a call to DuckDuckRooter today. DuckDuckRooter will come and resolve those plumbing issues so you can enjoy a free-flowing holiday season. Call 904-862-6769. Visit DuckDuckRooter.com.
Hacker here, and last Saturday was awesome. Thanks to everyone who came out to my Countdown to 100 Awaken 180 watch party. The wings were flying, beers were being thrown down, and this guy didn't gain a pound back. I had reached my goal of 100 pounds and took a couple of weeks off. What did I find during my weigh-in last week? I actually lost more weight, officially down 110 pounds now. Had a birthday trip, watch party, celebrations, you name it, and I'm down 110 pounds. I weigh now 207. Yeah, 207 when I was close to 320 just 8 months ago. With Awaken 180, I've got the ultimate life back. Losing weight while living it up. It's like cheating the system, but it's all legit. If you're ready to get your health back, join the Awaken 180 movement. Call 844-346-1800 or hit up awaken180weightloss.com. This isn't a diet, it's leveling up your life. Hacker out, because I'm keeping it real and light.
You've been injured in a car accident, and the insurance company denies your medical bills, denies to pay your lost wages, and won't repair your car. Then it's time to fight back. Time to call Farah and Farah at 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Multi-unit hair grafting is now available at IHRS and can give you 3 times more hair in one procedure over a traditional hair transplant.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
You can grow your hair back with this exclusive new procedure. Call for a free evaluation. Call IHRS 904-777-IHRS 777-IHRS 777-4477.
Hicken here for the Borland Groover Foundation. If you're 45 or older, you need to get screened for colon cancer. Ask your doctor about getting a colonoscopy. The key to surviving colon cancer, early detection and prevention. Borland Groover recently expanded into St. Johns County. The new and advanced surgery center and medical office is open in Durbin Crossing. Visit BorlandGroover.com for a location near you. Remember, 45 is the new 50. Get screened today with Borland Groover.
This is David with Royal Pest Services. Join us Friday, November 15th from 12 to 2 with Helmets and Heels at Tony D's for our customer appreciation.
And there'll be free slices for you guys.
Tony, you've been down here long enough. It's y'all.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician, Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Regular movement is key to so many health benefits. Aim for at least 10,000 steps a day. Decide to only take the stairs if you're walking less than 6th floor. Never park in the first 10 spaces of the parking lot. Walk during your work breaks. Get up 10 minutes earlier in the morning and take a short, brisk walk before the chaos of the day starts. There are so many easy ways to stay active. Let's get moving, Jacksonville.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Thank you to Chad Forbes and NFL Draft Bites on social media for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. Coming up at the 9 o'clock hour, Eric Pincus of Bleacher Report, one of my go-to NBA guys. We're 3 weeks in to the NBA regular season. The NBA Cup began last night. Boy, the courts looked weird, but I like the in-season tournament. Orlando got a victory last night over Charlotte. Orlando's actually leading Indiana by 10 tonight, a back-to-back. This would be a nice win for the Magic. How about Klay Thompson making the return to Golden State last night? Played well, but not well enough as Steph Curry and the Warriors beat him. So we'll talk to Eric Pincus of Bleacher Report about the first 3 weeks of the NBA regular season. That comes up at the bottom of the hour. Coming up in less than 10 minutes, my buddy Brent Beard, as we will preview Florida LSU and a gigantic one in Athens on Saturday night between Tennessee and Georgia. Most people believe it is an elimination game. The loser of the Volunteers and the Bulldogs is probably out of the 12-team college football playoff. So a lot to do. We're at halftime on Hacker After Dark. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We will take you up till 10 o'clock as we do each and every evening. With Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. Brent Beard talking college football next here on 1010XL, 92.5 FM. It's Hacker After Dark.
In every game, there's a guy who just makes plays.
He's their best home run hitter, an elusive generational type back.
Listen for the Universal Roof and Contracting Offensive Player of the Game. Experience the universal difference on 1010XL.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to carlsondentalgroup.com. That's carlsondentalgroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Yo, what's happening, sports bettors? It's your boy E to the T, and our listeners have been killing it in a year full of surprises. My bookie is the one book that got your back. No fluff, no second guessing, just straight up action. Does other sports books pay out when you push on a bet? My bookie pays you back. And if you're new to the game and not sure where to start, we've got you covered. Start up, use the promo code 1010XL, and that'll double your bankroll with a 100% deposit bonus right from jump. Here's a pro tip to get you rolling. The NFL teams with powerhouse offensive lines are dominating the run game this year, and betting game total unders has been printing money. So stack that on My Bookie Risk-Free Thursdays. That's right. There's a new risk-free odds boost every Thursday. To find the bet, click the Bet Boost tab and scroll down. If it hits, you win. If it doesn't, MyBookie refunds you your money. Sign up and get that double deposit bonus with MyBookie. That's the best sign-up bonus in Florida for Florida bettors. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
Here's your 1010XL First Coast Community Calendar.
The Farm Share Thanksgiving Distribution Drive-Thru event is Saturday, November 23rd at the FSCJ Downtown Campus, starting at 8:30 a.m. until the food runs out. Call 328-6158.
Join best-selling author, senior editor of The Athletic, and college football podcast host Jason Kirk for a discussion and book signing at Hendricks Avenue Baptist Church, Sunday, November 24th. Register for this free event at San Marco Bookstore.
Fight skin cancer by playing golf at the Melanoma Research Foundation Golf Tournament, December 30th at Queens Harbor for a day of food and fun. To sign up, call 904-507-1401.
City Rescue Mission has been providing food, clothing, and love for over 70 years to the homeless in Jacksonville. If someone you know is struggling, learn more about the City Rescue Mission at crmjax.org.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com. He's not Pistol Pete, he's Pete Prisco.
Been on the wanted list almost 20 years.
CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco joins the Frangie Show Friday afternoons on 1010XL. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles.
Hicken here with a message from Zero Res. You gotta just love this time of the year as we reflect on the things that matter most. Families, homes, the holidays, and of course football. They're very grateful for you all, the good people of Jacksonville, and they want to thank you. So get ready for the holidays. Book today, and Zero Res will clean your carpets for only $49 a room. Plus, they'll give you 25% off your tile cleaning. This one fills up fast, so book now on both carpet and tile. Zero Res, fill it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Come on, admit it. Almost everyone you know seems to be playing pickleball now, right? So whether you just want to learn how to play or you're ready to show off your elite pickleball skills, the Y is the place for you. Visit our brand new McGuire Family Pickleball Center at the Brown Family YMCA in Ponte Vedra Beach. 5 top-quality outdoor courts, and 3 amazing indoor courts, where you can learn about dinks, dill ball, falafel, the kitchen, and more pickleball slang at the Y.
Jags fans, looking for the perfect activity around the holidays? We've got you covered with the inaugural Teal Trot 5K. The race takes place outside Everbank Stadium, Saturday, December 21st. We can't wait to see you there. Your registration includes the 5K, a throwback Jaguars headband, and a ticket to the December 29th game against the Titans. Visit jaguars.com/Teal Trot to sign up today.
If you're like most Americans, you have a ton of credit card debt, and you're paying insane interest rates on that debt every month. Same for car loans and personal loans. Stop getting ripped off. Let Loan Pronto consolidate that debt for you at a significantly lower rate using the equity in your home. Hey, it's Prosper here, and Loan Pronto's Express Equity Line of Credit can get you up to $500,000. So you can consolidate your debt in as fast as 5 days. Their average client saves over $1,000 every month by doing this. Right now is the best time to act. With an Express Equity Line of Credit, you can access up to 90% of your home's equity, usually without an appraisal. Don't put it off. Get your financial house in order for the new year and call Loan Pronto now to see what you can save. It's a free quote and there's no credit pull, unlike the other guys. Call now, 904-999-1508 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Our first contestant, a stay-at-home gymnast from Jacksonville, Florida. It's Gwendolyn Pierce.
Thank you, Monty. I don't know who installed my air conditioner, but it hasn't had a tune-up in over 3 years. Am I cool?
Let's ask our expert judging panel. Judges? Oh, I'm sorry, Gwendolyn. You're not cool. Johnny, tell her why.
That's right. To keep your air conditioner performing at its best, you need a skilled technician to check your pressures, voltages, and air filters in the fall and the spring. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, our club members get 2 free visits a year to make sure that you are cool.
Can you tell me if my haircut is sexy?
You're better off not asking.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line. Hello. We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Florida LSU comes up this Saturday, 3:30 at the Swamp in Gainesville. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL. Certainly all sorts of stories coming out of Gainesville, including the vote of confidence that was given to Billy Napier last week by Athletic Director Scott Strickland. And then Florida proceeded to go lay an egg in Austin, Texas. Where are we with Napier's future now? Of course, Florida State has a bye week, but they have fired both their offensive and defensive coordinators this week, and there is a gigantic one between the hedges in Athens. It's a playoff elimination game between Tennessee and the Georgia Bulldogs. Let's talk about all of it with my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News, and you get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Mr. Beard, how are you, sir?
Well, I'm excited because college football has never been as popular as it has been now, with this many schools and fans waiting with bated breath on every word about the playoff, and this really is pretty much what we thought would happen when it expanded to 12. The other thing I'm excited about is 70s and 40s this weekend, and to get rid of the humidity and 80 degrees will be a wonderful thing. So, as they say, it's a great time to be alive.
Yeah, that'll be a welcome sight, no question about it. All right, I don't know how much of a welcome sight it was, Brent, for Gator fans last week when Scott Strickland came out on social media and essentially gave Billy Napier the vote of confidence. And look, you and I talked. I commended Florida for the hard effort they gave in the loss to Georgia and the loss to Tennessee. And then kind of the wheels came off in the first half against Texas. Now, I don't think anybody thought Florida was going to win the game, but I don't think anybody thought it was going to be 42-0 early in the third quarter as well. And now all of a sudden, if Florida goes out and lays another egg against LSU this Saturday, Brent, are we back to square one with the future of Billy Napier? I mean, what do you make of all this?
Well, I understand making the decision because of recruiting and that signing day is only about 3 weeks away. I get that. But at the same time, to your point, there are a lot of Gator fans who do not wish that would happen and really do not think that Napier is the long-term answer for the University of Florida. Now, they do deserve some credit because they did play hard, certainly except for the Texas game. There were some things in the Texas game that were just frankly ridiculous. I mean, some of the Florida defensive backs, I know they've had to play a lot of young guys, but it looked like they were trying to play two-hand tag and not even attempting to make a tackle. But they need a really much better effort against LSU, who is really hurting after losses to A&M and Alabama. You can run on LSU, so that's something that they need to think. Still love the young talent in a lot of ways. I would be gingerly with Lagway with this situation. But look, Hank, you and I both know that if it goes south in these next three games, I mean, again, if they can beat FSU and split Ole Miss and LSU being the likely one, they could still be able to go to a bowl game, which would help. But the lingering question remains, doesn't it, Hank? Is Billy Napier the real future for this program?
Well, the interesting thing about this game on Saturday, it's really twofold. It's the first time they're back in the swamp since the vote of confidence, so it'll be interesting to see the fans' reaction to Billy Napier. And number two, you got to wonder where LSU is mentally coming into this game. I mean, they had a playoff elimination game on the Bayou Saturday night against their arch rival in Alabama, and they got absolutely destroyed. And I don't know if you have to watch the Matt Moscana, T-Bob Hebert post-game shows that they do at a local cigar bar in Baton Rouge after every LSU game. It is comedy gold. And Brent, I don't even know if Brent Beard should watch it because Brent Beard's got very Christian ears. But I will tell you that the LSU media was talking like sailors about their performance on Saturday night. So you have to wonder where LSU kind of is coming into this game in Gainesville on Saturday.
Well, and you really have to wonder where Garrett Nussmeier is. As far as the quarterback for LSU has thrown multiple interceptions over the last two games, and that is something that has been really setting them back now. And also in the last 5.5 quarters for LSU, the defense has allowed 10 rushing touchdowns. Now get this, Hank. 7 of those are from the quarterbacks. How about that? Quarterbacks have run for nearly 250 yards on 21 carries. So if Lagway can play and his leg and hamstring allows it, he could make some hay with that, frankly. So, no, there's no doubt about that. By the way, record versus ranked opponents since hiring Brian Kelly. Kelly's 4-8. So they're very much aware of that. But LSU beat writers, in between the profanity, will also tell you that they're a year away in the talent base, and it's not where they needed to be.
You see Brent Beard on First Coast News. You get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. Brent, final thought on this game. Again, at the Swamp, we saw Miami and Texas A&M dominate Florida. And Florida since then has looked very good in home wins against UCF and Kentucky. Now, granted, the competition came down a peg. That's why I'm curious how mentally involved LSU will be in this game. But things have a way of changing very quickly. And if Florida wins this game, then I think that all but ensures that Billy Napier's back in 2025. If Florida loses this game, again, I think we might be back to square one. So needless to say, this might be the most important game in Billy Napier's coaching career on Saturday.
Yeah, it really might for this reason that I could see them just getting overwhelmed next week with Ole Miss. And if Ole Miss has got Trey Harris, maybe the best wide receiver in the league, and Jackson Dart is totally healthy, that could be a mess. So this week is very important because this is a game that they very well could win. They will beat Florida State. You and I, whoever's in the studio, could beat Florida State right now. And that's sad, but it's just the reality of it. Hank, how would the feeling be if they end up winning the final 2 out of 3? That's how important this game is, right?
There's absolutely no doubt about that. You mentioned Florida State. They made some news on Sunday evening as Mike Norvell fired 3 coaches, including both coordinators. The OC and the DC, as well as the wide receiver coach, are all gone. Brenton Beard, your reactions to those dismissals?
Well, something needed to happen. And as you know, in following college football, as long as we have, somebody ends up having to be the scapegoat. And you're not going to fire the coach. I'm getting to that in a minute. So they had to do something. And again, the reality of it is Florida State is I almost hate to say this, but they have gone 12 straight games without scoring 21 points or more.
Wow.
That's amazing when you think about that, isn't it? I mean, they're averaging 13 points a game. That's 134 in the nation. How many teams are in the nation in college football? 134. Now, I talked with some folks at Florida State over the weekend. What I was told is that Mike Norvell is not going anywhere, that he will be back. And in fairness, after you go undefeated and you sign an extension, I think he probably deserves to be back. But does that not mean that he maybe lost a year or two that he maybe normally would have had? Yeah, that's very possible. I also ask, where's Florida State with this season as far as leaving the ACC? And the answer was the season has zero to do with them leaving the ACC. That their mindset is, we're going. We've made all this progress at this point. So that is where they're going to be. They're still leaving the ACC, from what I have heard, and the sooner they can get out, the better.
Brent, you and I have known each other 22 years. You've been covering the game longer than that, certainly. And when you look at Florida and Florida State in 2024, they got outscored on Saturday 101-20. 101 to 20. They're 5-14 combined this year. Have you ever seen anything like this? I mean, it's football purgatory in Gainesville and Tallahassee
really
this year.
Now, help me on this, but I believe the Dolphins won, but the Dolphins basically from literally from professional to collegiate football were the only team that won this weekend in the state of Florida. So it is very difficult. And look, but people haven't really noticed this, but UCF is now on a long losing streak. So but no, to your point, hopefully this will be the last year we ever see the futility that we've got now.
Real quick, who would you rather be going into 2025, Florida or Florida State, based on what you know right now?
Oh, I'd rather be Florida. Now you can recover a roster through the transfer portal, i.e. Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. But what you've got to like, regardless of who's coaching, I think Florida's young talent's tremendous. With Lagway and what we could list a dozen guys, if we had time, that look very promising. But man, but I, and I will say this, that most of the time they have played hard. For Florida has for that coaching staff. You can't say that for FSU at this point. So I'm sure there may be some disagreement, but for the immediate, I think Florida's future is more brighter.
You see Brent Beard on First Coast News. You get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. Brent, as we make the turn for home, it seems like every week we have one of these playoff elimination games, and it appears we have another one in Athens on Saturday. Georgia, coming off that loss to Ole Miss, welcomes in the Volunteers of Tennessee. Again, it appears the winner is still alive in the playoff. The loser is most likely done for their playoff chances. That's a big one Saturday night between the hedges.
Oh, it's humongous, no doubt about it. And look, Tennessee, you could usually say this for Georgia, but Tennessee has not allowed anybody this year to score more than 19 points. Their defense is, frankly, that good right now. Now Nico Amaliva, their quarterback, got banged up a little bit. He'll be back. Dylan Sampson, the Tennessee running back, may be the most valuable player in the league this year. But, heck, have you seen Georgia, frankly, I would almost say Kirby's first year that has been this inept in so many areas. Carson Beck struggling. They're beat up on the offensive line. They're incredibly thin at running back. Georgia leads the nation, by the way, in drop passes. So tell me how much they miss Brock Bowers at this point. But, heck, with all that said, if Georgia wins, Tennessee would be 5-2. Georgia will be 6-2, and still have a real chance to go to the SEC championship game. As bad as Georgia has played, they could cover a multitude of sins with a win on Saturday at home.
As far as the playoff, I mean, we'll obviously start doing a lot more of this in the next week or two as we get down the stretch here and into championship Saturday. But in the ACC and the SEC, I mean, in the ACC, it's pretty simple, right? I mean, it's SMU, Clemson, and I guess Miami are the three teams that are left. And then in the SEC, you still got a handful of teams left. I think LSU's probably done now with their third loss. Texas, Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee, I guess, would be the teams that are still alive for that playoff opportunity, the four teams in there?
Yeah, and Ole Miss is in there,
Ole Miss,
too,
right, the five, yes.
But it's a lot more complicated in the SEC. Heck, there's a possibility that the SEC could have 6 teams at 10-2.
Yeah. And all 6 I wouldn't think would get in, because if all 6 do get in, you're going to have riots around the college football world.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's no doubt about that. Yeah, there would be an upheaval, to say the least. But with that said, and this is conversational another day, can you see why, Hack, that the commissioners of the SEC and the Big Ten are pushing very quietly but very hard for this playoff to expand from 12 to 14 or 16 starting in 2026.
Hey, the more the merrier. I wouldn't complain about it at all.
No.
Brent, final question. We got 60 seconds. You've watched a lot of college football this season. And again, we won't hold you to this. We'll probably ask you again in 2 weeks. But right now, on November 12th, November 13th, who is the best team in college football right now?
That's a really difficult question, but I will take a stab at it. I still think you can make an argument for Ohio State. Now, I know they're 8-1, and you've got Oregon undefeated at 10-0. But I'll go for right now. I'll go with Ohio State, but that might change. I mean, Penn State's at 4. You've got to be kidding me. And then Indiana, who I really like and appreciate the job that Kirk Cinetti has done, but that strength of schedule is way, way high. It's in the hundreds, but basically. So, the hesitation in answering that probably tells you where we are in college football right now.
And it tells you how great the playoff is going to be. Absolutely, no question about that. You see Brent Beard on First Coast News, and we're lucky enough to have him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. Mr. Beard, always enjoy the conversation, my friend. We'll do it again next week.
Good. You too, brother. Take care.
Every team has bumps and bruises, but a major injury can shake the season.
Let me know if he's ever going to play football again, or do I need to find me another wide receiver?
Listen for the personal injury attorneys Farah and Farah Injury Update.
Jacksonville
on 1010XL.
Hi, everybody. Mike Dempsey here, and today I want to call a timeout to shout out Awaken 180 Weight Loss for their 10-year anniversary. 10 years ago, Paige had developed a long-term solution for weight loss that could work for anyone. She cut through the misconceptions of lose weight, quick gadgets, fad diets, and medications, completely revolutionizing the weight loss industry with real results. More importantly, lasting results. Free support for life was, and still is, the backbone of the Awaken 180 program. 10 years later, 23,000 clients have lost a combined 750,000 pounds. Clients who've eliminated the need for cholesterol medications, blood pressure, and even type 2 diabetes medications. People like me, your neighbors, friends, and family who wanted to take back control of their weight, health, and happiness. I, for one, am so happy I found Awaken 180, and I know you'll be happy as well if you make the same choice. Here's to the next 10 years at awaken180weightloss.com. That's awaken180weightloss.com.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
What if you could be debt-free by this January? Get rid of all that high-interest debt, pay off all your credit cards, consolidate everything into one lower payment. Hey, it's Prosper here, and if you're ready to stop stressing over bills, you need to call Loan Pronto right now. With rates at their lowest in 2 years, this is the perfect chance to use your home's equity and save big going into the new year. Loan Pronto's got rates with APRs in the low 5s, and they're getting homeowners hundreds of thousands out of their home's equity. Homeowners who do this save on average $850 a month. Loan Pronto offers a ton of options, including total refis, express equity lines of credit. So call now, get a rate quote in just minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call today. You won't make a house payment till 2025. 904-999-1508. That's loanpronto.com or 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781 on approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
What's the weekend in sports look like? I'm Dan Hicken, and I'll give you my take on the Weekend with Dan. Find it on YouTube and Facebook. Weekend with Dan, brought to you by Stone Core. We do outdoors better.
It's a game 80 years in the making. Join us for Thursday Night Football as we celebrate the 80th birthday of the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl game. The SEC and ACC face off January 2nd at 7:30 on Bill Gay grounds at Everbank Stadium. Don't miss college football pageantry on display as we celebrate our 80th anniversary. Tickets and hospitality packages are on sale now at TaxSlayerGatorBowl.com. Get yours today.
Get ready for a smoking hot night at the brand new Cigars International Superstore at the Town Center. Friday, join 1010XL for a back-to-back live broadcast. Into the Night with Rick Ballou kicks things off from 4 to 6, followed by the Bueller Air Conditioning and Plumbing College Football Kickoff Show from 6 to 7:30 with Matt Hayes. Celebrate with 1010XL as we promote Saturday's grand opening of Cigars International. Swing by Friday. 1010XL is live on location from 4 to 7:30 only at Cigars International.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Multi-unit hair grafting is now available at IHRS and can give you 3 times more hair in one procedure over a traditional hair transplant.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
You can grow your hair back with this exclusive new procedure. Call for a free evaluation. Call IHRS 904-777-IHRS 777-IHRS 777-4477.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician, Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Establishing a regular sleeping pattern is crucial for your well-being. This includes going to bed at roughly the same time every night and waking up around the same time every morning. You may even consider turning off all electronic devices an hour before bedtime. Ever wonder why you can't fall asleep after staring at your phone right before bed? Studies show that the light from your phone actually decreases melatonin production, therefore causing disruptions to your sleep throughout the night. Get some rest before the big game. Go Jags.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line. Hello. We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Hard to believe the NBA season already 3 weeks old. Boy, I guess the story of the season to this point are the injuries, man. They are everywhere to some key players, including Paolo Banchero in Orlando. Can the Magic survive till he comes back? Because a lot of these teams survive until their superstars come back. Let's talk about the first 3 weeks of the season. Eric Pincus does a terrific job covering the NBA for Bleacher Report, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Eric, how you doing, man?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Eric, we always appreciate it. What about the injuries? Zion Williamson, Kawhi Leonard, Chet Holmgren, Paul George, Joel Embiid, Paolo Banchero, John Morant. You can go on down the line, Kevin Durant. The injuries, Eric, have been wild to start the year, have they not?
Yeah, it feels that way. It's the one thing I root for. As journalists covering the game, you don't root for teams. I just root for the best competition, and it's been a grind the last week or so. It's just been one guy after the other. So I don't know if it's anything specific. I don't think we can claim there's something wrong with the schedule or training methods or anything like that. And hopefully we won't have anything too catastrophic. I know a lot, like KD has a strain. It's a calf thing, just out precautionary for a few weeks. Jimmy Butler's out a couple of games. Ja's not supposed to be out that long. Paolo won't be out too long. But we've lost some guys for the season. Hendricks, the kid in Utah, had a terrible injury. It's just, it's rough.
It is rough, no doubt. And as an Orlando Magic fan, they got off to a 3-1 start. Paolo had a 50-burger on, I think it was Indiana early in the year. And then all of a sudden, bam, he gets an oblique. 4 to 6 weeks was what was reported when it happened. We're about 2 weeks in to that. Orlando keeping their head above water. I believe they're fourth in the East right now, which is wild because they're a game under 500. That kind of speaks to where the East is right now. But do you believe Orlando can survive this until Paolo and Wendell Carter get back healthy?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been this way for a lot of teams in the East. And so if there were 5-6 teams running away with it, then Orlando, you might be looking at a play-in berth. But right now, Philadelphia hasn't had their whole team from the start. So we don't know if they're good, bad, or ugly. I think they're a good team. I don't know if they're a great team, but they should be among the better teams. But they're really struggling. Milwaukee, with Giannis, you just assume Giannis and Dame that they're going to be, even if they're not a great team, which I don't think they are, that their top-end power would at least keep them above 500. So for Orlando, their biggest issue is offense. You might, at least looking at it from afar, it just, without someone like Paolo to carry that scoring, it just seems like they can't get enough points on the board to win consistently. So you tread water, develop, everyone you can to maybe improve their scoring, find someone else who can contribute. And then when Paolo gets back, in theory, be the same kind of team that they've been the last year.
Eric Pincus does a terrific job covering the NBA for Bleacher Report. He's done it for years, and he's with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. The depth for Orlando is wild to me. They're without Wendell Carter. They're without Paolo. Franz Wagner has missed a couple of games. Jonathan Isaac has missed a couple of games. But I'll give Jamal Mosley and that front office credit. From 22 wins to 34 wins to 47 wins, and now, even with all the injuries, they're still one of the better teams in the East, at least to this point. They have really built that roster. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, they've done an excellent job of not overspending too quickly, of doing very favorable team-friendly contracts that are either flat, so they're not climbing, or even might be decreasing over time. So, they have team options, they have non-guarantees. Very diligent in how they've given out their contracts, but the price comes due when you start to have success. So we see now Wagner's getting paid. Suggs is getting paid. After a year, they'll have to pay Paolo as well. So the team's getting more and more expensive. So it becomes a question of, how sustainable is it, and will they have to make sacrifices? But the good news is they had some foresight. They've been able to keep some depth. They haven't just, we have a guy we can dump off and trade just because we have too many players, because you have to anticipate injuries. You can't just pencil in your best lineup and assume that that's going to be there for 82 games, because it's just not. And so, are they great right now? No, but that's okay, because you can flounder a little bit, you can survive, and just tread that water until you get healthy enough. You get Paolo back, your best scorer, and you should be among the top teams in the East. Maybe they won't be one or two, but the goal, I would imagine, would be to be a home court team. Get that top 4 seed, get home court in that first round, and then see what shakes out in that second round.
And Eric Pincus of Bleacher Report. Eric, what can the good folks here in Jacksonville look forward to when they head on over to Bleacher Report for your NBA coverage? And you're also the general manager of the sports business class. Tell us about it.
Well, it's Sports Business Classroom. We try to help people break their way into the industry. Our main program is in Las Vegas in summer, in July, around Summer League, but we do programs all year round. And so check that out at sportsbusinessclassroom.com. And, of course, Bleacher Report. I'm always writing on everything, all 30 teams, pretty much every week. There's something, writing 2-3 things a week. So check that out. If you just want to talk hoops, find me on Twitter/X at Eric Pincus, EricPincus. I'm always happy to have a conversation.
He's one of the best. Eric Pincus of Bleacher Report. Eric, I know you're busy. Thank you for taking time out for us, pal. We'll talk again soon.
All right. Happy to do it. Thanks for having me.
And thank you to Eric Pincus of Bleacher Report for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark to talk a little NBA. The NBA is now 3 weeks old already into the 2024-25 regular season. You got the NBA Cup going on right now. How about that return for Klay Thompson last night with Dallas? He hit 6 threes, but Golden State still won the game because Steph Curry is just absolutely phenomenal. But again, injuries are kind of the story of the NBA season right now, with Ja Morant, Zion Williamson, Kawhi Leonard, Chet Holmgren, Paolo Banchero, a lot of guys that have missed a lot of time. Joel Embiid just came back for the 76ers. It's a battle of attrition right now, no question about that. So we'll see what happens as we move along here in the NBA regular season. We certainly talked about that. We spent a lot of time on the Jaguars getting ready for Detroit, and also some time on some college football as well. A big game coming up, obviously, for Florida on Saturday as they welcome in LSU. Well, that will just about do it. It has been a very busy Wednesday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, Eric Pincus of Bleacher Report, NBA writer, one of the best to do it. We love having Eric on. Appreciate his time tonight. Thank you to my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark as we previewed Florida, LSU, a little Georgia, Tennessee as well. Always enjoy having my buddy Brent Beard on talking college ball. Thank you to Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites on social media for joining us tonight. Chad's not going to sugarcoat a whole lot, man. He shoots you straight. And we love having him on to talk Jags, AFC South, and more. And back in hour number 1, my buddy Leon Searcy. You hear him every day on Prime Time. You get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark as we previewed the Jaguars and the Detroit Lions. We will be back tomorrow night on a Thursday, and we will do it all over again. A little time change, though, tomorrow. 6 to 8. We're in for Baloo tomorrow from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So we will join you here on Hacker After Dark on a Thursday beginning tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the Hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Wednesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Wednesday evening, and we will talk to you again tomorrow night on a Thursday beginning at 6 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
The play that turned hope into victory.
Plenty of time, goes downfield, and he's got it complete.
Performance Painting presents the high-performance play of the game.
He is a force to be reckoned with. He's been doing it a long time.
On 1010XL, prepare, protect, preserve. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Yo! What's happening, fellas? It's your boy E to the T, and I'm going to keep it real. We could all benefit from a little something extra in the bedroom. Blue Chew can help. Now I'm about to tell you how you can get some for free. Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in a chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. No doctor visits, no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Blue Chew ships right to your door in a discreet package. Not even them nosy neighbors gonna know what's going on. Blue Chew's licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredients and strength for your prescription. And did I mention the chewable? Just like popping a Mentos. And they're made right here in the good old US of A. Now you're asking, how do I get my Blue Chew? Visit BlueChew.com and make sure to